Now let's talk to Jon Tonge. He's Professor of Politics at the University of Liverpool. Thanks for talking to BBC Newsday. Now, what do you make of this resignation of Sir Paul Stephenson? There's a lot of surprise about it, but are you under the impression that his position at this point was untenable, that he had no choice but to resign?
Yes, I think his position was untenable. He failed to mention the connection between the Metropolitan Police and the former Deputy Editor of the News of the World, Neil Wallis, in meetings with Boris Johnson, David Cameron and Theresa May. Now, although his statement tonight tried to justify that omission, to outsiders it seemed an inexplicable omission given the toxicity of the current relationship, anything to do with the News of the World. It seemed a very strange omission indeed. I think it also raises questions now about his Assistant Commissioner, John Yates, who made the very unfortunate statement for which he declared he was sorry in the press last weekend, that there was no evidence, no further evidence of widespread phone hacking. That looks a very unfortunate statement in the light of recent events. So it's not just a crisis at the top, it's also a crisis, if you like, amongst the deputy leader now, amongst the deputy leadership at the Metropolitan Police. So we may not have seen the end of this domino effect that we've seen over the last week.
So do you think that there could be more resignations at the Metropolitan Police?
Well, as I say, I think Assistant Commissioner Yates' position is very difficult this evening. It's difficult to see how he can potentially stay in his job. And then there's, of course, the political fallout in which David Cameron clearly has, to some extent, escaped some of the political fallout from this. But I did read in Sir Paul Stephenson's statements tonight thinly veiled criticism, I thought, of David Cameron. Sir Paul seemed to contrast the fact that he had taken responsibility for what had happened and taken responsibility for any link whatsoever with the News of the World and hiring a former News of the World employee. He seemed to contrast that position ever so slightly with David Cameron's position, where, of course, David Cameron famously employed Andy Coulson with some fairly disastrous political consequences since.
OK, Jon Tonge, Professor of Politics at University of Liverpool. Thank you for your insight there. Well, let's cross over to Sharonji, because I believe you've got more on the international fallout from the phone hacking scandal here in the UK.